safely close. Yeah, it's not gonna.
And we are recording. So, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Metamorphosis from Trauma to Thriver podcast, where we talk about all things centered around anxiety, depression, PTSD, dissociation, and all things mental health. I'm your host, Sharon Ann. Today, I'm joined by our special guest, Shaz. Shaz is an intuitive life coach, a psychic medium and healer. She works with empaths to help them step into their true power to follow their mission and purpose in life to change the world around them. Awesome. Welcome to the podcast. Is there anything you'd like to say to our audience?
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. I just wanted to come and share some insights of my own spiritual journey and self-growth around CPTSD, anxiety, and all things traumatic. And I'm so happy to be here. I love sharing what I've done and how I've grown in life with other people to give you insights of what you can do in order to heal and overcome whatever has occurred in your life, and in order to create for you that peace, happiness, love, and joy that we all deserve.
Awesome. Today, Shaz will be talking about how she overcame CPTSD. Shaz, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here. Can you identify positive coping mechanisms for those who face CPTSD challenges?
Okay, so most of my life I was mentally and emotionally abused from my parent, and it created underlying problems and resulted in CPTSD. And a lot of it's from this life. And as a spiritual person, depending on your belief, I also know that I carry through drama and things from a past life. So energetically in my soul and body, I had to heal from that. I learned a lot of different ways to deal with it, but the best way for me and for the people that I teach in order to do and understand what they're going through is, a lot of people get taught to go to therapy or see a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or whatever it may be, and do talk therapy. And even though it can work in some ways, talking about it is just retelling the story. The best coping mechanism you can truly have and deal with your CPTSD, anxiety, depression, or any other mental health issue is through clarity and understanding of what it is. And I do that through journaling techniques or total self-analysis, total self-awareness, and really asking deep questions of the inner self. We are a bunch of stories, and literally any belief or any thought pattern is just literally a thought we keep thinking. Ultimately, no matter what's happened in life, no matter what you've been through, no matter what you've experienced, you're a survivor. You won. You come through it, because there is only one true loss in life, and that is death. Now, the fact that you survived that means that now that you can thrive from it. Therefore, you already overcome what it is. So retelling that story is keeping you locked in where you were. You're not there anymore. And that's the biggest shift that people can come to terms with and understand. You don't have to be that victim, that person that was lower or not understanding. It's about forgiveness. It's about releasing these episodes from your past and working out what you gain from it. Each episode or experience in our life is there to teach us a lesson. And we're all here to grow, learn, and evolve. And when you understand what you learned, what are the key takeaways or the lessons that you learned from that, and own those, that is where the greatest healing takes place, because the story then becomes of what you got out of that episode. And that in turn made you who you are today. And who you are today is a beautiful, wonderful human being that is perfect, exactly where you are. We're not broken. We're not all sorts of labels that we put on ourselves to make us feel less. We're perfection because we're made in God's image. We are a spark of light connected to the source God. And he made us exactly like he is. And we all choose to learn and to evolve and to become what we choose to be. And it's choices in life, right? So everything that you've learned, everything that you've been through gave you a strength. It could be a strength, it could be resilience, it can be understanding, it can be compassion, it can be empathy. It's all of these characteristics that you achieved And it's those achievements and successes when you celebrate them rather than dawdle and dwindle on what you went through, how you were victimized or traumatized. It's the mindset shift thinking, what did you gain from it? Everything in life is an opportunity for growth, and that mindset shift changed my whole life. And as soon as I started to understand, how did I grow? What did I get out of it? And how does that make me who I am today? And the greatest gift that anyone can have through any traumatic outcome in life is not to re-perpetuate the same drama or the same problem. And if you're not doing that, then you need to celebrate the hell out of who you are, because it's amazing. Because as humans and in our brain works by rinse and repeat. Whatever we learn, we repeat. So if you can grow and evolve and overcome and not repeat those patterns to other people, you're an amazing winner. And owning that will change your whole life. And it's about perspective. Nobody can tell you what you've been through, only you can. Analyze your inner self, do the self-development and release the old patterns. And by doing that, there are many different techniques and methods that you can do that through spiritual healing, through journaling, through things like breath work, meditation, all different avenues. And that will help you shift and change from where you are. CPTSD and the anxiety and depression, they are all bottled emotions. They are all a physiological result of unprocessed emotional well-being. And we get to choose and understand what we think about the scenarios in our life. And if you choose wisely and look at it from a winner's perspective, it doesn't hurt so much anymore. And it's amazing and freeing and totally life-changing because it's peaceful.
I like the picture you just painted right there. Such guided imagery. I can tell that you're speaking from the heart right now. And a lot of wisdom. You have a lot of intuition. And I like how you say that your trauma doesn't define who you are. And that's so true, because some people stay locked in their trauma. It becomes their identity. It becomes who they are. And from my own perspective, it's like labels are for cans. Labels are not for people. PTSD, depression, anxiety doesn't define who you are. And you're right, with talk therapy, it's like you relive it. And sometimes you just got to move around it. With trauma, you got to move through trauma. You can't just stay locked up in it. And I also like how you said that emotions are meant to be felt, not buried alive. That is so true. We're not cookie cutter individuals. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Can you identify any positive coping mechanisms when faced with CPTSD?
So there's a fair few that I have, and I don't need to go through all of them, but each morning we get to choose what we think. So morning affirmations or high vibrational frequency thinking, great thought processes. So each morning is like a blank slate. It's a brand new day. And we can go back into old pattern thinking of falling victim to the bad feelings, or can. So fill your mind with your thoughts each and every single day of what you're going to make today. If you wake up and say, today's going to be awesome, I'm going to have so much fun, it's going to be fantastic, that's the vibration that you attract. But if you wake up saying, oh my God, I hate myself, it's going to be a horrible day and I can't cope, that's exactly what you're going to attract. So master the thinking of what you're saying or speaking into existence and allow that to define who you are. If you can't do it for self, go find high vibrational speakers, things like Abraham Hicks, Steve Harvey, Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, any inspirational mindset person, and allow them to put affirmational thought processes into your brain or mind to tell you how great today's going to be. If we think today's going to be great, it will be, because whatever follows is what we say. Then there's meditation practice. And meditation is just simply the art of quietening our mind and focusing on our breath. And you can use that and breathwork practices or somatic exercise. All of these things help release and relieve trauma from the body. Now, one thing I can tell you for sure, with my CPTSD, when I was stuck in the middle of it many years ago, it showed up as a physical symptom in my body. And I had like a hiccup process, like a spasm of the hiccups 24/7 for 10 months. My body was the physiology of the anxiety and the PTSD and the block trauma for 10 months gave me like a hiccup sensation. Anxiety causes flight or freeze mode. Like we get frozen, we get stuck, we can't move, you can't get out of bed. Depression, true depression, literally, you can't get out of bed. You're so tired, so overwhelmed by what thinking is that you can't function. You have to process through and understand what emotional stories or regulations are running within the brain that then affect the physiology of the body. You can change those stories. The brain works on one simple method of repetition, and repetition is mastery. So if you want to change the brain's thinking, repeat affirmations, repeat positive statements, repeat your lessons you're learning. Think about when you were a kid, when you learned to count. What did you do? You repeated 1, 2, 3 every day until you got to 5 million, however numbers what you wanted to get. Remember our ABCs. How often did we tell kids the ABCs? How often did we have to repeat tying shoelaces? Practice makes perfect. The whole thing about this is gentleness on self, and you do little things. Everyone thinks meditation is hard because they think that, oh my God, you're going to meditate for hours a day or 30 minutes or whatever. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. And if you really can't do it, the best place to do it, it's going to sound very weird, is in the bathroom when you go to the toilet, because as you evacuate your body, you evacuate your mind. Focus on the breath and then think and affirm something beautiful about yourself today. And tell yourself how much you love yourself. Self-love is the greatest key in life because without it, we have nothing left inside. We will never find love outside of ourselves that we can't find within ourselves. And that practice in self. I did mirror work for 3.5 years saying, I love you in the mirror, saying, I love you, Sharon, or I love you, Shaz in the mirror. Pull the worst faces and go, oh, fuck no, I didn't, because I hated myself so bad. But in doing that, one day I looked in the mirror and said, I love you, Sharon. And it's like, oh my God, there was no bite back, no negative training. My brain, my body, my physiology, everything in my soul finally learned that I did love myself. I'm a slow learner, can't you tell? Most people only takes a few weeks or a few months. But my trauma was that deep, it took a long time. This sort of healing and growth, it is not a quick fix. It is not a magic pill that happens overnight. It takes dedication and time and quality effort into self-growth. Think about if you've ever been to therapy for this, how long you've been there. I would shift therapy to mindset coaching, to changing your inner dialogue, retelling your stories, and make your journey a storybook and read that and read all the things that you got out of it. Read what you achieved and what you've become. And we're a bunch of stories. Our brain just believes thoughts that we keep thinking. Choose what you think about self. Choose what you think about what you've been through. Because no matter what, you survived because you're still here. And that's win. And that's the biggest mindset shift that you can take. Now, these are coping mechanisms. Mindset is a daily internal thought process. If you wake up thinking great things, and every time we take a nap, if you listened a lot to Abraham Hicks, they tell you, you want to reset your vibration, go have a nap or go to sleep. Because we stop thought when we go to sleep, right? So if you can't calm your mind down and it's too overwhelmed, go have a nap and then wake up and choose the next thought. It's a choice. One of the great things that I learned as a spiritual being, we have an aura or meridian fields, right? We have this great capacity to do this motion. Okay, this motion is clearing through our brain, through our energy. And if you do that and say clear, cancel, delete, or I don't think this anymore, whatever thought that you don't like, just do this energy. It can take 3 seconds, it can take 10 minutes, but clear it out. I don't think that anymore. I don't think that anymore. The saying, so it may not be the exact quote, but it's by Joe Dispenza. I get him and Joe Vitale mixed up, sorry. So it's by Joe Dispenza, and it says, everything that is now, I destroy and uncreate. So you can do this motion and either say click, cancel, delete, which is the same thing, or everything that is now, I destroy and uncreate, because we are the masters of our own universe. And then you destroy what is and you create the new thought. And so that's where you put in an affirmation of, I'm safe, I'm fine, I am strong, I'm amazing, I swear, so I'm not sure if you're brain goes, oh, yes, I am, because it knocks down the delivery. Use whatever mechanism that you can in order to create the result that you want. Affirmations work. There's also a thing called EFT or tapping. I'm not sure if everyone's heard of it, but we have tapping points. And through tapping, you can sit there and tell yourself, I am great. And these points change the physiology of the body. I am amazing. I love myself. I enjoy. I am happy. I am free. I'm a survivor. I can thrive from this. I do anything I choose to. I am beautiful. I am happy. And you repeat statements. There are different methods to EFT. There are ones where you can say, even though I'm in trauma, I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. So these statements change the way we think about ourselves. There's healing things like kinesiology or Reiki or any other version that you want to do. Breath work, as you focus on the breath, breathe in good thoughts and let out worries. There are meditation things that can be done. There's all different ways of healing this. But the easiest way that you can do by yourself without any training or understanding of anything is just to get a blank piece of paper and think out loud, what am I thinking? And write down all the negative thoughts. And then ask yourself one simple question of, are these mine? Do I actually believe what I'm thinking? Or is this somebody else's opinion of me? And then make a choice. And if they're not yours, go outside safely, set them on fire and release them to the universe. Tear them up, throw them away, or basically tell them to get lost. Change that thinking. Most of what you think or most of what you're coping with is other people's decisions on who and what you are. The greatest gift you can do for yourself in this life is choose who you are, how you show up, and what you stand for, what your values and your beliefs are. Because that is the greatest gift in life that we've ever been given by God. And that's called free will. And from that, we get to choose daily, weekly, monthly, what we do, what we be, and how we show up. And that will change everything.
That is true. And I'm going to piggyback off of you and say affirmations are positive. I do them too. And for me, I don't just say I'm smart, I'm brave. It has more weight when I put my name in it. So like Sharon is smart, Sharon is brave. It just has better meaning, better grasp. And I hear you on what you say about like looking in the mirror and reciting the affirmations. I was the same way too. For the longest time, I'm like, great, I'm just doing this. There was no emotion behind it. And then all of a sudden, with that repetition, it just became more powerful. It's like, great, I'm not just doing this for the sake of it. I'm doing this because I want to. And I do the EFT tapping too. That is so powerful. And breath work, that's something that I just learned to incorporate in my own life. So I'm still like, great breath work, but I know there's truth to it.
I'm learning breath work more and more, and simply through meditation, and there are different ways that you can do it, and it really is powerful. It depends on what sits well with you. There are different like avenues for each of these mechanics that you can use, or tools, whatever you want to describe them as, but you find what works for you and what creates ease within the body and do that.
Right. You kind of already covered this, but I'm gonna kind of ask it again. Is there a favorite activity that helps you with relaxing should you be triggered by CPTSD?
with there's two things that I love to do. One is I'm a reader, so I love to read. And CPTSD is culminated by the stories in our head. So it's the recyclement of the crap. So the negative self-talk or this happened to me, the old stories in our head. So reading for me creates new stories, whether they're fiction, whether they're inspirational books or children's books even. But you need to get out of the pattern or the storytelling of what's going on and fill the brain with something better. As I said, one of the great ways, I'm not sure if I did say it, but I thought it before, one of the great ways to change your perspective in life is to rewrite your own story. We're all storytellers. We get to tell ourselves what we've been through and rewrite the story of where you've been, what you've gone through, what was all the challenge, what did you have to overcome, and now rewrite where you're going and who you are, what you choose to be moving forward. And this aspect can change who and what you are. My other go-to thing is mindfulness and to empty the mind. Sometimes that can be TV. I will do coloring in. I will do jigsaws. I will play. We have an inner child energy and a childlike essence to ourselves. Go find something fun. One of my greatest things, and a quote that I wish I could remember who told it to me, but it just sunk home better than anything else. We are total energy. As humans, and everything in life is energy and vibration. And CPTSD, depression, and anxiety is very low vibration. And joy, peace, enlightenment, that is very high vibration. They cannot coexist. Okay. Depression and CPTSD and all the problems can't coexist where there's joy. So when I feel overwhelmed or totally falling down the rabbit hole of the pity party or getting into that negative mindset or thinking bad things about myself, I will go find comedy, funny things, cat videos, TikTok. Spend 5 minutes on TikTok and tell me you don't laugh. There's something wrong with you. But go and find reasons to laugh because it can't coexist. It's the same with grief, right? A lot of people's CPTSD and anxiety problems stem from grief, from the loss of a loved one or from a traumatic event. Now, we can have grief within ourselves where we've lost parts of ourselves and it's segmentation of our soul that then feels outside the body and we lose essence of who we are or what we were and things like that. And that can result in grief. And that vibration also is low frequency and low vibration. Like the worst vibration that we have in life is shame. And it's the lowest of low. And a lot of our CPTSD comes from shame because of what happened to us causes us to feel bad about ourselves or worry about other people's opinions. If you want to get out of that, you go find happiness and joy. So laughing and doing laughter therapy. If you really struggle to laugh, go and find a picture of a baby laughing. It is the most joyous experience ever. And just watching a baby giggle will change your whole body, your physiology, your internal responses within the body will adjust to that and it will want to laugh with it. And laughter is contagious. A smile is contagious. You see, if you ever want to change a person, go and smile at them. Have you ever been in a supermarket and a kid's having a tantrum and people are looking at it with disapproving scowls and being judgmental? Go and smile at that child. Or go and tell them of it by changing their perception. Go and give them, you go and watch a child having a meltdown. If any of you have got kids, right, and they're having a meltdown, go and pull funny faces at them and see if they can control that meltdown. They will want to laugh their ass off at you because they don't coexist. And that is how we shift through it. And laughter is the best medicine. Cures everything.
That is so true. It takes so many muscles to frown and only a few to smile. I forget like the ratio between the two. But that
Yeah.
is so true.
It's much easier to fit in joy.
Yeah. It reminds me of like Ogmandino in the book The Greatest Salesman. He says, in one section, he says, I will laugh at the world. I will be a master of my emotions. If I feel sorrow, I'll feel joy. If I feel like crying, I'll feel happiness. And it is so true. There's times where we can just take that magic eraser and just start over. That's one of the things I like to do. Like if I'm having a bad day, I'll picture a whiteboard and I'll just take the imaginary eraser and I'll be like, all right, I'm starting this day over again.
Beautiful. I love that.
Mhm. When it comes to CPTSD, are there activities that help you develop self-compassion?
A lot of that's through my journaling and of the retelling of the story. And yeah, when I get into overload or overwhelm or things become too much, and as much as I've relieved myself of my CPTSD symptoms, it can reoccur. It happens through different reasons. But in that, forgiveness is the biggest key, right, to self-compassion. Everyone thinks forgiveness is about forgiving other people, but the depth of forgiveness that you need to focus on is forgiving yourself by putting yourself in the situation where you went through what you went through. As much as a lot of people do agree with me or don't agree with me, and I have everyone's entitled to their own opinion, so you can agree to disagree or you can totally disagree with me, that's fine. As a soul, we chose to go through everything that we've experienced in life because we wanted to learn. And at some point or another in our soul's journey, whether you believe in past lives and future lives and stuff like that, we've been on both sides of the coin. So whatever we've been through, we've been the victim and we've been the perpetuator. And it's forgiveness for self, for putting yourself through that. And it's simply because as a soul and as a spirit back in the heavenly plane and things like that, we know everything, and knowing is amazing. It's knowledge. But even as humans, we all want to know, we want to do more than know. We want to feel it. Okay. We learn the minute we're born through everything that's told to us, through the emotions given to us. We either learn nurture through a beautiful mother who wants us, or we learn rejection through someone that's given away. All of these things grow up through learning, but they're aspects that we wanted to feel. And it's just as simply as, remember hot water or the stove, and you go, don't touch, it's hot. Well, how do I know it's hot? The only way I know it's hot is to touch it. And then when I touch it, I know that it's hot. So someone can tell you or give you the lesson for you and tell you what it's about. And that knowledge is great. But without the true understanding or the feeling of it, we have to test ourselves with what does that feel like? So in essence, we've said that I want to learn what this feels like. So another soul has volunteered and said, I will do that to you, but you've got to forgive and let it go and not blame me and not hold on to things to me, because all I'm doing is what you asked. And that thought shifting is amazingly powerful in setting you free, right? They're not horrible people. They're bad behaviors. It doesn't make them any less of a soul, because they just volunteered to be that in order to help us, because we wanted to experience that. And look at the different things that you've experienced in life and how has that made you who you are, and how has that helped you become better? Because we're not who we are without all of those episodes. And one thing I'm grateful for and I love each and every day is exactly who I am today. And I choose to get better, and I choose to grow, and I choose to evolve each and every day. And that's why I'm still alive. That's why God wakes me up. We're all the same, right? So we chose to go through that in order to become who we are. And it's about accepting and appreciating and loving and enjoying and really acknowledging who we are. Okay. And as long as we don't go back into the same pattern, because we learn by rinse and repeat, or monkey see, monkey do, that we evolve. Okay. They've done experiments in life where they put a bunch of monkeys in a pen, and they put fruit at the top. And if they went to get the fruit, they got sprayed with water. And over time, no one would let anyone go to the top, because they learned that if you do that, this is what happens. But nobody ever really pushes through the barrier to see, does that same thing happen? And you can do it generationally, right? So if your parents did this to you, you can do it to your kids. But we're about breaking patterns. And through that, that is where we learn the greatest grace. And in it, the compassion comes from, what are you here to do? What are you here to be? Are you going through all of this for a reason, to be that change maker in your family history, that change maker in society? If you look at the greatest recognized people in the world, the struggles they've overcome, a lot of the billionaires out there come from nothing. Okay, they did hard slugs. They went through a lot of trauma. The most inspirational people you can go look at what they've overcome. And trust me, they overcome it because
They
God still
didn't give
wakes them up
up.
each day and they're still here
They
to do it.
persevered too. Yeah. They didn't give up. They persevered. They pressed on. When it was hard, they're like, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to see this as a learning opportunity. I'm going to see this as a hurdle.
And that's the compassion, right? What can I learn from this? How can I overcome it? And my question each day is, so I ask 2 questions each and every day is, one, what do I feel? What do I need to do? Or how can I be of service? So what am I here to do today? And then my next question is, what am I learning today? How do I want to elevate and grow? Because without either, we no longer exist. And that's how we create more problems in our body. Now, CPTSD, depression, anxiety, people call them disease. They're actually symptoms of unprocessed emotion. So the most compassionate thing you can do is work out, what do I feel? What is the emotion that's running my system? What is the emotion running my nervous system? And how can I shift through that emotion to a better high vibrational frequency? Okay, and you have to steadily move through the emotions. It's a funnel or a cube, and you have to raise by one, by one, by one. And it's a process of understanding the inner self of what created the emotion, what did you learn from it, and the clarity of understanding everything that we've been through. So forgive yourself for going through all this. Be gentle with yourself. And ultimately, did you learn something? And I'm positive that you did, because otherwise you wouldn't be here. It's the only reason we exist, to learn, evolve, and grow, and to head towards what we call enlightenment, which is the greater knowledge of remembering all that we know without having to, I want to feel that.
Right. Are there any relaxation techniques anybody can implement when they're triggered?
One of the funniest things, one of my big triggers is loud noise. So metal on metal. So really clanging loud noises. And I think it's because I witnessed, when I was very young in Australia, we had a train accident called the Granville train accident. And this train crashed into a bridge and a lot of people died. And we'd driven over that bridge when I was very young. We literally just got over the other side when it happened. And that noise, because through my inner child work and historic understanding of my own life's journey, I went and found that. So I heard that and it created this reaction in my body. So loud clanging noises causes a disruption. And I was at a beach one day and it was my nan's death anniversary and I was in a very emotional state. So I was already low vibration because I was crying and I was upset. And I was at this place remembering my nan because it was only a couple of years after she died and I missed her deeply and I was stuck in grief, right? So I was already low frequency and in very despairing stages. And then a loud clang happened. A building site was nearby and a beam fell down. And that sent my body into total shock. So true CPTSD causes physiology problems. And I just started doing this and I didn't understand. So it's like playing the drums on the body. Okay. And you do it on the arms, the legs, the belly, the chest. And I don't understand at the time. I didn't know why. I just started doing this because I was trying to breathe. And at the time I was also chronic asthmatic, which I've also healed. So I was having a panic attack. I was in total anxiety. My CTPC was out of control and I couldn't breathe. And I couldn't breathe enough even to get the Ventolin I had to walk back to my car and I was far away from my car because in my bag in my car. And I just started walking along going, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, I'm safe, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And just this disruption. And it brought me out of that panic and it helped me breathe and it made me stop and reset. And then a few months later, I go to spiritual church and there was a lady there talking about it. And she was describing what this does from a psychological perspective and from someone who knew what it was. And I just sat there and going, oh my God, I naturally did it. I didn't understand why. And I do lots of things that I channel and get told what to do, and I don't understand the mechanics behind it. I just knew it worked. And I'd been teaching that without understanding. And what it does is it truly disrupts the physiology. Okay, a panic attack, anxiety, that freeze mode, all of that is a lockdown. And the playing of the drums or the patting of the chest or whatever it does brings us out of it, right? Another way, and it's never a good way, but you've all seen probably movies or things like that, and they're having hysterics and someone walks up and slaps them across the face, right? That also is a pattern interrupt. It snaps them out of the shock factor. This is the same sort of thing without the violence. Okay, so if you ever get stuck in anxiety, play the drums on yourself, find a pattern, find a rhythm. And sometimes I just walk along when I'm doing it and exercise. It also creates all sorts of tingles within the body, and it wakes up all the muscles and it gets the adrenaline pumping and slowing down, but it changes the whole physiology in the body to breathe better, to calm down. Whereas in that scenario, in that panic, you can't remember breath work. You can't remember to focus. We forget to breathe, and without breath, we will die. So this can calm us down so that you can start to shallow breath. And even in hyperventilation, like we've all seen what happens when someone gets in a hyperpanic and you go and blow in the bag. Same sort of thing. But this is something that everyone can do, and it's very non-invasive, not in your face, and you can do it without people truly noticing, because you just sit there and play a song, and it's even better when you go and sing. And it was funny because this day a gentleman watched me doing it, and he just looked at me going, because he's seen the panic, and I was like, I didn't know what to do, and I literally could not breathe. And because I was in total fear mode and I was ready for flight, but I couldn't function. I was in that frozen state. And I just started doing this. And he said to me after about 3 minutes, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I am. And he said, where do you need to go? I said, my car's down that way. He goes, I don't want to touch you, but I'll walk with you. Okay. Sometimes one of my favorite memes in life is Pooh Bear and Piglet, and they go to Eeyore, and he goes, it's okay. I don't want to be there. I'm just having a bad day. That's okay. We'll just sit here with you. No talking, no nothing. This person didn't need to do anything. They were just there in case I needed them. So sometimes go find someone to be with you. Don't talk to them if you don't want to. Don't do anything. Just hang out. And if you can't do that, this is why we have things like therapy dogs or cats. Animals are great compassionate beings. A lot of what I got through because I had a pet, or I was with someone that had a pet, and I would spend time with the animal. But yeah, do whatever you need to do. But compassion starts within for one, and the disruption will bring down the anxiety, bring down the breathing, bring down the heart rate, bring down the blood pressure. All of these things change the physiology in the body, the physical effects, like, because really bad CPTSD, our blood pressure goes through the roof, right? Our heart rate is extortionate and we can't breathe, and we're like in that panic mode. This snaps you out of it, and it can be quite quick. Whereas you can't go from that to meditation or to focus on your breath. You can't do breath work when you can't breathe.
That is true. Yeah. That is so powerful. I like that story about like the man was just there. He didn't need to say anything. And that's so true. Sometimes when we're having a hard time, we just need someone to be there. And I like how you talked about animals. They are great at sensing things.
They know more than we give them credit for. Animals are amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. They're so awesome. Do you have any last words or advice to inspire others?
We all are a work in progress, and just be kind and gentle and very compassionate with self, right? Forgive yourself each day. If you're having a bad day, have a bad day. Sit in the emotion, do what you have to do, but don't wallow in it. It's the long, long periods of low vibrational frequency that will create the most stress. So find things that bring you happiness. Color in, read a book, do a jigsaw puzzle, go hang out with a friend. If you're introverted and you can't do that, watch some TV. Go find something, not something to create more depression, but something happy, something joyous. Put on inspirational videos in the background. There are subliminal videos on YouTube. There are things that you can meditate to and go to sleep. if you really struggle and you find this extremely hard, and at first the negative information in my head and all of the control that happened from my mother to implant the crap that I wasn't worth living, I created lung disease in my body, right? So I had every lung disease known to man. I've had pneumonia, pleurisy, glandular fever, bronchiolitis, asthma. I ended up with a pulmonary embolism on my lungs. And lung effects on a spiritual level is the belief that I don't believe that I had the right to live. So I created all this disease in my body. And so being compassionate to myself at the beginning was very, very hard. Okay. I couldn't say nice things about myself. It took 3.5 years to tell myself I loved myself before I got it because of all the trauma that I went through. So one of the things I learned in that process is I found subliminal affirmations and things on YouTube, or on, at the time, MP3 audio things, because YouTube wasn't quite around. I had my most severe PTSD moments back when I was 27, 28, and I'm 50 now. So this is 23 years of recovery. It's not
Wow,
an
that's
instant.
incredible.
I didn't even know I had PTSD until my 20s. To me, my childhood was normal because it's what I knew. It was comfortable. But then as an adult, the more it happened to me, the worse it got. So my body started to reject what was seen and done to me. And then I had to cut off my mother because I was going to kill her. And it's not a joke. I really was. Because it created murderous feelings within me. So I had to find a way to do this. And then when I was 34 is when I got the hiccup sensation, the problem in my body. So even at 27, I didn't know, I knew I had a problem and they just called it anxiety and depression. It's only when I got this hiccup sensation, I went and did a study with a professor who was studying CPTSD. And I had worse symptoms than a group of gentlemen who had all been to Vietnam War. And he told me that my CPTSD was 10 times worse than theirs. And I'm going, I don't have that. What are you talking about? He goes, you have so much trauma, but your brain does not acknowledge that you went through trauma. So
Right.
I was in
I'm going
this.
to pause here and say that in the body keeps a score, it mentions that we don't develop brain capacity fully till we're in our late 20s. So I just want to make that
Yeah.
note to our audience.
Yeah. So like I had all this trauma that to me was normal. I didn't know any different. It's what happened to me every single day. And because it was compounded daily of what was said and what was done, my mother's favorite comments were things like, I wish you were never born. I should have drowned you at birth. I was going to give you up for adoption. I should have got rid of you. And then I found out later in life, she aborted my twin brother in the womb. She tried to abort me, but she only managed to abort my twin and I still survived. And then she was going to give me up for adoption. So there was
So
multifaceted
sorry that
levels.
happened.
Thank you. And I'm grateful in many ways because I've healed from it so much that it's just a story that used to exist. It's no longer real.
But it
Yeah, it happened.
affected you. I'm sorry that it affected you.
But the lessons that I've learned since then and the love of self that I've had, I wouldn't be who I am today without that. And that's where I can find gratitude for it. And it's a major game changer, right? Yeah, I went through hell, but I overcome it and I won. And fuck, I love winning. The success from that, the joy, the power from that. Hence why I know you can heal from this, okay? This isn't, as I said, it's not a 5-minute job. I've been consciously dealing with this for 23 years so far, unconsciously for 50, for all my life, but it doesn't master me. I've mastered it, and you can do that. And it's through the work, and it's whatever process works for you, but it's due diligence and monitoring the thoughts. I do not allow negative thinking. If you say something negative to me and it triggers me or creates an reaction to me, I own that and go, thank you. What do I need to change for that? What pattern, what problem, what belief, what core issue do I need to wipe away and rethink, reprocess and re-implement new thinking? And I do that through the EFT and stuff like that. I will go and analyze what is that, because I won't allow it to control me. I control it. And I became the master of my own life, and I became the driver of my life. And it's fucking great now. I love it. There is nothing I can't do. There is nothing I can't overcome. And I can help you get to that stage if anyone needs help. It's what I do, and I love it because I've been through it. And I have people that look at me nowadays and they go, oh God, you wouldn't know trauma ever bit you on the backside. And I go, you want to go trauma for trauma stories? I broke 2 psychologists. One quit and the other one gave up on me because they couldn't stand what I was saying. Because to me, it was completely normal, right? I didn't even know that I was abused until I was 27 years old. That was just life. That was just normalcy for me.
Right. It was day-to-day
Okay.
survival. Yeah.
I was not only emotionally abused, I was sexually abused. I was nearly raped. I was sexually touched at work. I worked in a company that dealt with people with major things, and a psychologist put up on a board 15 attributes of people that have what they call borderline personality disorder, of things that they go through. And he said the worst thing that someone that they've met had gone through was they had 8 or 10 symptoms on this list. I had all but one, and the one was self-harm. And I said, but if you consider being overweight, self-harm, and then I thought about it and go, well, once I nearly did try to commit suicide. I tried to jump off the M4 bridge, a massive road in front of a truck one day, because couldn't cope with my mother anymore. I was so traumatized I was going to commit suicide. So I've been through all this stuff, but I have overcome it. And from that list, when I told him, I said, can I talk to you about that list? And he said, yeah, sure. I said, what happens if you've been through all of that? And he goes, no one's been through all of that. And I go, yeah, I have. And we had a discussion. I went and sat in a round circle of psychologists and we talked through that whole list. And he goes, you can't possibly have been through all of that. And I gave them examples of how that whole list, and I don't remember the full list today, thankfully, because I don't really want to relive it again. Because I spent 2.5 years in therapy of 8 psychologists going, what the hell is wrong with this lady? And I shared all of the instances of where that happened in my life. And they're sitting there going, why aren't you sitting in the corner sucking a thumb, rocking back and forth? I should be broken. I should be so broken that I can't function. But I have this desire, this will, this strength inside of me that tells me that doesn't matter. And I used to say stupid things to the universe of, is that all you've got? Come at me. I don't do that anymore. No, we're only having joy and happiness from now on. But how did you overcome all that? Because I have this deep desire to change the world around me and to totally understand that. Okay. These things thrown at us, these lessons, these instances all made me what I am today. And I'm grateful for that.
It's
Okay.
an amazing
Was it
story, too. Yeah.
oh no, not in any way, shape, or form. But I come to understand, I come to do the work, I delve deep and I found the inner being, I found who I am. And I decided that I deserve better. And that's the greatest choice that we can make. I set boundaries of how I would allow people to treat me. I was a doormat for many times, a people pleaser, because everything was my fault. I got one day many years ago, and it's back in the 90s, and I don't remember the exact date, but there was a massive plane crash in Brazil or South America somewhere. And my mother's favorite saying was that it's always your fault. And there was some conversation on that day that it was your fault. And so I truly believed I caused 200 and something people to die in a plane crash because I was bad. Had to learn I'm not God. I don't create everything in the world. But when disaster happened, it was my fault because it was a story that kept getting told to me. And it's something I had to overcome, right? I'm not responsible for anybody else's actions but mine. I
That is
choose
true.
kindness, compassion. I choose to be the giving person that I am. And I'll give you enough rope as you like, but you cross me and I'm done. I have boundaries, and if you don't follow those rules and you don't treat me as I deserve to be treated and as I accept, I don't take shit from anybody. And if you don't, go away and I'll cut you and leave you behind. And it's the greatest gift that we can have. We don't have to keep the people in our lives that traumatize us. It's a choice. And I don't care if it's a parent, because I cut my mother off. My favorite saying when people say, oh, how's your mother? Not dead as far as I know, because she died to me. It had to be that way. because one of us was going to die. So I unfortunately had to make her dead, because otherwise I would have died. And it came down to, think about what you're going to do in life or death situations, right? We could not coexist because I could not continue to be belittled like she does. And in the 23 years since I stopped talking to her, she hasn't changed. And that's okay, because I don't allow that in my life, and I don't talk to her, and my life is great because of that. But I don't allow anyone to treat me that way. I don't allow anyone to treat me less than the boundaries or the limits that I put on myself. If you treat me great, I open my arms and welcome you with everything that I have, and I'll give you anything that you desire. But you treat me crap, and there's the door. And it's a line I don't cross. And the biggest lesson I had to learn in life was it didn't matter how bad anybody else treated me, I treated myself 10 times worse. And that had to change. I had to stop being my own bully, stop being my own piece of shit, stop telling myself horrible stories, stop blaming myself or accepting blame for everything. And I take responsibility for what I do, not for what everybody else does. And I had to learn the value of who I was. And I had to discover that I deserved to live. And the minute I did that, back in 2016, when I got my last lung condition, which I got whooping cough. Who as an adult gets whooping cough? I have no idea. I was 43 years old, not even around babies, and I got whooping cough. But at the last thing of getting whooping cough, I changed that. I was worthy of life. I had a purpose and mission in life, and I stood up to be counted for who I was, and I dedicated myself to growing even more, of doing more inner work and not allowing anything to disrupt what I chose to be. And from that, I have not had any lung conditions, touch wood, pray to God, and I don't plan on getting any.
That is awesome.
Okay, I didn't get COVID. I've not with COVID because I do believe that thing will kill me. And I say to God that, cool, give me COVID and I'll see you up there. And they just say, I'm not coming yet. Because I have purpose and my life's not over and there's too much for me to do. And my lungs are in the healthiest condition they've ever been in. Because I overcome that by choice. And I believe every single person can do it too. It's just how worthy are you of the time and effort that you need to put into what you want.
Thank you so much for saying all of that. And it's so true. Our choices define who we are. Garbage in, garbage out. And it is hard to cut people off, but it's for the best. It may sting, but you got to do what's good for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes
The game of life
is needed.
Yeah. We call it the game of life, and it comes down to one simple rule, and it's survival of the fittest, right? It's you or them. If they are making you less than what you are, leave them behind, okay? You need to protect you. The only person that can is you, and you are the most important person in your life, and that love of self has to come first. Because without 100% self-love, there's nothing to give. And it doesn't matter if you don't have self-love, it doesn't matter how much someone gives you love, you'll never receive it. You'll never feel it. You'll never absorb it until you give it to self. You are the most important person in your life. You're the one that matters. You first, then everybody else.
Right.
And from
Society
that
teaches
place
us
is
differently. Yeah. Sorry to talk over you, but society teaches us differently. Society teaches us it's other people first, but no, you can't pour from an empty cup.
When we're on an airplane, I'm assuming everyone's flown it sometimes before. It's the easiest analogy to remember. They tell you in case of a crash and the air thing pops down, to everyone, put yours on first before you do children, partners, anyone else, right? Because if you don't help yourself survive, you can't help anybody else. The reason it's you first is you are physically and mentally and spiritually incapable of helping anybody else until you help yourself.
Yes.
And if you really struggle to help yourself, right? Because sometimes we get in a phase where we can't help ourselves and it's a struggle for you to do that. Go and do something kind or go and offer something that you can do for someone else. And the only reason you can is because you've already done that for yourself. If you can't see how much you've grown, go and give kindness or compliments to somebody else because you only see in others what exists within you.
That's powerful. Thank you for sharing so much, Shaz. I appreciate your time. Great insights. And wow, your story is remarkable. It proves that no matter what, there's always victory on the other end. Thank you for being here. Do you have a website, or is there a link that people can reach you at?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook and my name is Shaz Sini, Shazcini. So there's profiles and pages for that. And my website is www.shazcini.com.au. There is a current website up, but I'm under construction with a new one, and it hopefully will be launched in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, if you ever need a chat, I have a free like clarity call or coffee chat. It's 20-30 minutes. If you ever want some tips or anything, need someone to talk to, reach out and book a call. I'm happy to give you some tips and tricks and stuff like that. Or if you ever really want to delve deeper, I do coaching and all sorts of things. This is everything that I teach. I have a program called Shine with Shaz as well, which is a 6-month coaching program I'm running through with the girls. And last night we did beautiful inner child work. And the shift and change of accessing and accepting all of these parts of ourselves is powerful and I'm happy to talk to anyone about it. I have lots of free resources that I'm getting more and more uploaded, but if you ever need anything, just reach out. I'm always here for a chat and always willing to listen and give you any advice that I can offer.
Again, thank you so much for your time, Shaz. It was a joy to have you on the podcast. I hope the audience benefited from your topic. And until next time, thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.